All right. We are back here at Song of the Day, coming to you from the Rock Cave. I'm your host, Mark Pierce. It's Wednesday, Wanderlust Wednesday here in the cave. I had a topic all picked out for today. I talked about season one, unwatchable to me just because of just a lot of things. But anyway, so we're going to be doing some Criterion Collection, the remastered version of some of those shows. So they'll do one of those, I think, later this week. But this is a band we have not covered yet here in the Rock Cave, and it came across my newsfeed, which we'll get to later. But we are covering Siouxsie Sioux and the Banshees, Siouxsie Sioux, or just Siouxsie, depending on where you're at in the years, decades, whatever you want to talk about. But Siouxsie Sioux and the Banshees, British band formed in London, 1976. Vocalist Siouxsie Sioux and bassist Steven Severin. They met at a Roxy Music show, huh? That's pretty cool. Next thing you know, there's this festival going on, a punk festival put on by the Sex Pistols manager. This was Sex Pistols before they had a record deal, before they were pretty much an unknown band in the area that they were following, and they really wanted to emulate themselves over this kind of band here. So this manager was putting on a show at the 100 Club Punk Festival, and someone dropped out, and they got wind of it somehow, got in touch with the manager and said they wanted to play. They didn't have a band name, they didn't have a full band, they didn't have a record deal, they didn't have a set list really. They got in there, and they borrowed some players. They borrowed a drummer, I believe, and then they borrowed Sid Vicious. But he was not Sid Vicious. I mean, they knew him as Sid Vicious, but he was John Simon Ritchie at that time. And they got him to play with them, and they didn't have I think they ended up playing some kind of long, something to do with the Bible. Anyway, I don't know. And then they were thinking about, well, maybe we should just butcher a Beatles song, which they end up doing. We'll talk about that too. But anyway, this basically, 3-chord punk stuff. They thought it was just a one-time thing done, and then the manager's like, "Oh, we want you to play some more," and they're like, "Oh, we don't have a band," so they had to get themselves a band together. So they got themselves a band together, and in 1978, by 78, they were selling out shows. They were moving up in the punk land, and in 78 they put out The Scream, their first album, great reviews as far as a punk album is concerned. 79, Join Hands. These guys put out 11 albums in 12 years, which is very punk, by the way. But it's a crazy story. This is great. So at somewhere in 79, 80, somewhere along the way, Robert Smith of The Cure is opening for them, believe it or not. And there's a lot of in and out as far as band members being fired, leaving and stuff. And they needed someone to play guitar, so they asked him if he would play Step In, and he did. And he did for a tour or a show or whatever it was. And next thing you know, that would happen a few times, and it turns out that Robert Smith of The Cure was the lead guitarist of Siouxsie Sioux and the Banshees from 1982 to 1984. How many people knew that? Raise your hands. That's crazy. We'll get to some of their songs. Maybe you'll figure that out. But anyway, that's just awesome. And then in 1980, complete 180 in 80, they changed their style. They go synth, sitar, drum machines. They end up doing a U.S. tour. They put out Kaleidoscope, which goes to number 5 in the U.K., and that's when they head out to the U.S. They didn't necessarily hit it big over here, but that's what did it. And then the next thing you know, they're putting out, it's like 1981, Juju went to number 7 in the UK. 1980, you got A Kiss in the Dream House, which was really kind of psychedelic. They fired their guitarist. That's when Robert Smith stepped in on the tour. I guess it was just not so much. I mean, he played that one time, and then he stepped in on the tour in 1982, and that's when he became a permanent member for those 2 years. 83, they went for side projects. They were all doing different side things, and basically Robert Smith was like, well, I'd like to at least establish that I'm in this band, and why don't we just put something out? And they put out a cover of the Beatles song Dear Prudence, which you know now. Does their own version of it, and it was a major hit. It went to number 3 in the UK, and that's Robert Smith playing guitar there. Watch the video for that. I'm like, that looks like Robert Smith. I never would have picked up on it before, but it looks like him. I'm pretty sure that's him. Anyway, and that was a huge record for them. He ended up saying, I got to go. You guys are, it's getting big, but I got my own band. I'm exhausted. And so he left in 84. In 85, they put out Tinderbox, which had Cities in Dust. We're going to go over all these songs. I mean, look at those records. 86, they were working on a record, took a long time, went out in 87, which was had Passenger on it, the song, which is an Iggy Pop song. We'll get to him in a second. 88, Peep Show, which was cello and accordion on it. That's that song, Peekaboo. That's the one that actually got popular in the United States, Peekaboo. That's my least favorite song of theirs. I don't care for that one, but I like a bunch of their other ones, but that one's just not for me. 91, Kiss Them, for me, single only, went to number 23. They put out the album Superstition right after that. Next thing you know, they're doing Lollapalooza. 95, The Rapture, and then things kind of wind down from there, and they end up, later on they remaster all their stuff and everything like that. But what are we talking? Why did this come across my feed? Because Richard Blade announced a huge concert in Pasadena on May 20th this year called Cruel World, and his Siouxsie is a headliner, co-headlining with, there's that guy Iggy Pop, Billy Idol, Love and Rockets. I'd love to see Love and Rockets. Echo and the Bunnymen, Adam Ant, Human League, Modern English, Gary Newman. That would be awesome to see Gary Newman. Oh my God, ABC, love the ABC, and Motels. I would, if any of these bands were playing on different stages, I would freak. I don't know what to do, but I wish I could see that show. That's pretty awesome. As far as songs are concerned, we're at 6.5 minutes. Passenger, Spellbound, Christine, Kiss Them For Me, Dear Prudence, City in Dust, Hong Kong Garden, Switch. These are all great songs by Siouxsie Sioux, and the Banshees. Siouxsie Sioux, all those things. But anyway, you guys know this band? That's your Wanderlust Wednesday today. Whew, I got that all out. That took a bit, didn't it? But I think I got everything here. So, it's fun. Check this out. I'm glad to be able to play something that I haven't played yet here in the cave. We're going to post a bunch of those below. You listen to them. If you listen to satellite radio, you know who they are. But it's exciting. And boy, that Cruel World concert looks pretty amazing. So listen to that today. We got some good stuff coming down the pike. And as usual, I'll catch you on the flip side.